Hey guys, today I've been playing the Gauntlet the past 2 days. Today, top 5 tips to make your Gauntlet experience a lot better. These are the most useful, practical things that I know about. Maybe 5, maybe more, I don't know. Starting with the first one, basically the black market. The black market is amazing for picking up not only good gear, but also gear with sockets. So you go to the black market and, for example, you take the I don't know, just try like a random energy shield helmet. Usually it's 4 linked sockets that they come with. For helmets, for body armor, I'm not really sure. I haven't got that many, but I think it's also a pretty decent situation. As you can see, you can get 4 linked armors, and quite often you also get quite nice stats on them as well. So I mean, quite often the gear I got from the black market actually had very good rolls, very good stats. Black market is a very good source of leveling gear. Probably the easiest way to get sockets in this league. Don't forget about shipping. If you meet a quota on shipping, and you can do that extremely early, you get a guaranteed unique back, and you also get some rares from shipping battle, and those rares typically are quite well rolled. You can get some extremely good items very early on, and you can get some very good uniques. Just make your Gauntlet experience a lot easier, so definitely don't miss out on shipping. It's really worth it, so just really do that. Tip number 2 is respeccing. Respeccing is very cheap in King's March. So if you want to, I mean, it depends on your level, but as you can see, for example, here, it's only like 200 gold to respec 2 points I have. So definitely recommend. Quite often you'll take some points early and then need to respec it a bit later on. Perhaps you've taken some damage early and later you want to go more into the tankiness of your character. So in this case, you definitely want to use the respec, especially early on. It costs literally nothing, so extremely useful. So the third one is kind of obvious, but you do have to prioritize defenses. Unlike in softcore, in AC, it's all about defenses. This sometimes means that even if the guide you're following says to take some offensive nodes, perhaps you could consider taking defensive nodes instead. I mean, respeccing is quite cheap, and if you feel like you do enough damage, what I do is definitely just take some defensive nodes instead, just to feel a bit comfier. And what goes without saying as well is armor scrap. It makes a huge difference on the armor. For example, if you take this armor with energy shield, this is especially a good base to put it on, because see, it goes from 64 to now 77. This all makes a lot of difference in aggregate. When you armor scrap every single bit of armor you have, you manage to squeeze out a few hundred more ES, which makes a huge difference for your character. So I definitely recommend doing that. One extremely good way to get more defensive mods on your armor remains the crafting bench. Use it early, use it often. Crafting bench is amazing at doing this. Just be mindful of the stuff you're crafting. Don't craft overleveled crafting mods, this goes without saying, but also if you craft one mod to uncraft it, you need orbs of scouring. These are not common to come up with. You can buy them from vendors, but they're not cheap, so just be a bit mindful of what you're crafting. But for example, if you're a mana stacker, you might want to craft some max mana. If you're missing some res, you might want to put some res. It's a complete lifesaver, and quite often you can just cap your res by just crafting some resist on your gear. Don't miss out on the crafting bench. I would say as soon as Act 2, you definitely want all capped res, which is very easy to achieve. Just basically look for resist on every piece of gear you have. You can also buy rings from vendors. Quite often they'll have rings. For example, 2-stone rings are quite good at achieving. So obviously specialized rings like sapphire rings are especially good at achieving that. But basically just look for resist on every single piece of gear that you own. Definitely cap that, because that makes a huge difference. Also, capping resist for specific bosses makes a lot of sense. For example, Merveil in Act 1. If you cap cold res, she's basically trivial. But if you don't cap it, she can one-shot you with her abilities. So especially in the Gauntlet where monsters have Elipan, you definitely want to have more resists than usual. Right, this one's said a lot and by everyone, and there's a good reason for that. Over level by a lot. So what is over leveling? Basically, in the top right, you can see the monster level is 14. In softcore, it doesn't really matter. In softcore, people usually will underlevel instead and run through. In hardcore, you want to do the exact opposite. So if the monster level, for example, is 14, that's the zone level, you want to be a level 19, a level 20 ideally. Perhaps some people said you even want to overlevel further. It takes quite a lot of grind due to the experience penalty that you start to experience. Definitely overlevel every single time, even if you feel comfy, because the spikes in difficulty in this game happen very rapidly and abruptly sometimes, and sometimes you can get ripped. Maybe you enter the archives or the library and then you get frozen and die. Can happen. So if you're over leveling, you're really mitigating a lot of this risk and reducing it to a minimum. Don't get lazy, over level all the time. That's literally key to surviving and having a decent experience in HC. Over level always. Feel comfy, still over level. Just take some time. If you die, you will have to re-level your character. It takes a lot longer than if you just over level by 5-6 levels above the zone or even more, and then just have a nice comfy experience and don't risk dying. Please do that. Logout macro, like, look, I know, don't come for that. The immersion, whatever, everyone does it, everyone has it. The logout macro is basically, it allows you to quickly quit the game when things go sour, especially important on bosses, just so you're able to quickly get out of trouble. There's two ways to do that. The simplest way would be to install Awakened PoE trade, and then basically you press shift space and then you tap on this little cog over here, and then you go to chat, and basically for this command just to set up a hotkey that you like. I have it on F3 because F3 is easy to reach and I don't mix it up. You can have it on wherever you want, but basically that's the hotkey you definitely want to have. There's a second tool that turns a TCP disconnect. That's a lot more reliable than HC, but at least have this. If you're too lazy, this works pretty much all the time, but as I said, sometimes it's not as reliable as just sending a TCP disconnect. It still works, obviously, for the average person, but you might want to look into the other tool. At least do this one. Make sure you have it, because things happen and you just want to get out of that. Unless you don't want to get out, unless you really just want to die, then, you know, don't set it up. I definitely do. I recommend you do as well. Before attempting the bosses, ask chat. Chat can sometimes be deceptive, so just ask a few people, get a second opinion. But chat in this league, very useful to get some idea on the bosses without looking at VODs or recordings. You can do that as well. It goes a really long way to just kind of know what to expect from a boss. So just ask people, you know, be social. I found out that most people are actually very nice, very helpful in this league, so I definitely recommend doing that. Alright guys, I hope this video is helpful for someone. I know a lot of things have been said before, but hey, this is just my take on it, and not everything reaches everyone, so I'm just making a video with my tips. But I hope it's helpful for someone. I wish you best of luck in the Gauntlet leveling and as few rips as possible, not to re-level your characters. If you like the content, I really appreciate it if you like and subscribe. You can also leave your tips in the comments if I missed something that you feel is very important. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you later.